6 days away. You ready?
I'm exactly 6 days away. That's what I am. They seem ready to play. We still have some work to do, but it was a really good practice today. And focus level last night and today was really good. And it was hot, but the energy level was good. So I mean, you can tell they're anxious to play, but there's still things we can get better at in the next few days. So I'm glad we got them. But we're all ready to see somebody other than ourselves. So
That's what I was about to ask next. You're installing some packages against Toledo, trying to game plan for them. How's that been working out?
We're not as much installing stuff for them as we are just narrowing down. We went through all camp and put basically the entire offense, entire defensive package in. And this week's more about narrowing down than it is adding anything. Hadn't virtually added much of it. I mean, really anything. It's just deciding what's going to fit for this game plan, what we're going to narrow it down to, and that's been good. I think today was a good, kind of a good test of where their minds are at, and we had very few mental mistakes and really good effort. So I'd like to think that we're moving in the right direction with repetition and streamline the game plan. That always helps to me, especially quarterbacks and the new guys that haven't played for us very much.
Coach, you mentioned some things you want to work on, things you want to get better at. What are some of those things?
We had some substitution errors. We're still having some sub packages where we're calling different dudes, and we just need to be better at communicating those. And I think just the small details, as anything, just small details, ball placement, ball leverage, defensively, just pursuit angles, and just really the details of where exactly I'm supposed to fit. But all in all, it's real picky stuff. There's no big issues. We'll obviously find some of those when we play a game. You always do. Game one, there's always some things that you got to go back and fix. But I think we're ahead of where we were a year ago at this point, especially defensively and offensively. We seem to make some big strides in the last week, I thought.
It seems like to me, and you mentioned that about offense, it seems like the offense is really starting to click and find its way. It just seems a lot more crisp this week than even a week ago.
Well, we got all the old linemen back out practicing. That's helped solidify the front, and those guys are used to playing together and play well together. I think both Chad and Justice are settling into how things are going, and that both of them are going to see the field. And then we've gotten, I think the skill players, just reps is always going to be your biggest friend, and we've gotten more and more reps at stuff that we're going to do. And then ultimately, probably we narrow the package down so they could take some things out of their mind and just focus on the package that we're going to carry into the game, and it allows you to play with a lot more confidence. And it has looked much better in the last 2 days.
What's your biggest questions about your team in general going into this game week, the first week?
Defensively, just are we going to pick up where we left off? Are we going to have that create? Is that culture we created going to continue in terms of creating turnovers and finding ways to get the ball out? We've looked that way in practice, but it's hard to tell till you go live. Can you strip the ball out? Can you make those plays? Offensively, just how are we going to play in a competitive situation? I mean, how are we going to play when things don't go our way? How are we going to respond, to some adversity? You just don't see a lot of that in camp with an early whistle, breaking tackles and really taking to the ground. That's something the first game's always going to tell you, because we're a lot different than we were in that first scrimmage. We've changed a lot since then, and our first true look's going to be Friday night.
As far as your skill positions, have you kind of settled into a rotation like you expect to use Friday night?
I think so, yeah. I mean, Coach Pascal does a really good job of rotating those guys in at wideout, and everybody plays. Obviously, some guys are going to play more than others, and I think he's kind of settled into how he's going to do that. And similar at running back, it's by committee, both are. I think early in the season that's important just because of the humidity, and I think that the amount of plays that we want to get, we want to be really, really fresh, and we don't feel like there's a huge drop-off. We've got quality players at the first, second, and third spots in those skill positions, and it allows you the flexibility to play more people than a lot of people do, and it lets us push the tempo button pretty good.
You got a new punter in camp now?
Yeah, we did. Jack Pierce came in from South Carolina. It took us forever to get his paperwork in from the clearinghouse and get him cleared up, but he got here this past week, and first couple days, I mean, the balls jumped off his foot pretty good. I know he'd been out punting for about 30 minutes and kind of preparing for practice, and I walked out and guys were like, "Coach, who's that dude? He's not very big, but he can kill the ball." So we were hoping to have him here for fall camp when it started, and just paperwork slowed that down. And so he's a little bit behind, but he's made a big impression for his first couple days.
Is he a freshman?
He's a freshman, yes. High school freshman.
Coach, do you feel like since now that both quarterbacks know they're going to play, that maybe that's kind of maybe relaxed them just a little bit? I mean, I realize they're both still competitive and they're still going to work hard, but maybe take away some of that tension.
I would like to think so. They sure seem to be that way. And a lot of it, I think, we've narrowed the package down and kind of put it in front of them where they have confidence in what we're running. We didn't want to carry anything to this first game that they didn't feel really good about it. And I think Coach Faulkner, had a good conversation with them about what they like, what they're comfortable with, and we've got a game plan that makes sense to them. And then, yeah, right. I mean, they don't have to worry about who's what, who's the one, who's the two. They both know they're going to be utilized, and they're both going to be able to help us win. And I do think there's some strength in numbers. They know they can feed off each other. Neither one of them has to carry the load by themselves. And then when we simplified it, made things easier on them.
I know you say that there's some things you could still work on, but it seems like to me where you guys are in preparation that you guys could play tomorrow if you needed to.
Well, I'm sure we could. You always want to utilize every day you can. I think as much as anything, just mental preparation. Physically, they're in great shape, and we're trying to tone it down at this point. Practices will be really short and sweet from here out. We've already reduced the amount of periods we go, and you can tell them, and their bodies are holding up to that. It was really hot today, and they've handled it just fine. They'll be ready Friday night physically. Most of the work is going to happen over the next 5 days is mental work, just making sure that checks and adjustments are ready, because we got to be ready for anything. Our defense doesn't really know what they're going to run. And we've looked at FAU and we've looked at Toledo, and there's a lot of stuff to get ready for. So I think just those last 3 or 4 days is just mental prep, but physically and emotionally, yeah, they're ready to play. They're ready to go out and get to really just find out what we're going to be about, who we're going to be, just how good can we be.
And you're talking about Toledo and trying to find some stuff. I know Cawthon last week mentioned that he wasn't able to find a whole lot of stuff in Toledo. How's the preparation been, just kind of figuring them out?
Well, we've got plenty of tape to look at, and there's way more tape than you can dissect. That's the problem. And you can watch every game that FAU's played, where the coordinator came from, and every game that Toledo played, and they've also had the entire offseason to go visit and talk to everybody else in the country, just like we have. And we probably present the same problem. They're looking at every game that Buster ran at Middle, and they're watching every game that we played, and they don't know who we talked to in the offseason. It's a nightmare for a defensive coordinator. So what you've got to do is make sure you're good at what you do, and that we're in the right spot. And it's going to come down to just communicating and getting guys on the ground, making them snap it one more time, which is tackling well in space.
Obviously you learn a lot about your team first couple of weeks, but your schedule the way it is, Toledo, Auburn, Utah State first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That even more, I guess.
Yeah, it's a huge test. It's a huge test and a huge opportunity. We want to be the best team in the group of 5, and so you got to play across conference lines against good opponents, and we're playing 2 group of 5 opponents in Toledo and Utah State that are going to be right in the mix in their conferences. And if you can find a way to win those, then you gain credibility with our peers. And we're going to play an SEC opponent, which obviously same thing. If you can play those guys well and beat those guys at their place, then you gain credibility there. So, and honestly, Central Arkansas is going to come in here, I think, one of the top 25 1AA programs in the country when we play them. And so it's a huge challenge, but it's a great opportunity to go into conference play with a tremendous amount of momentum if we can take care of our business and do what we prepared to do.
All right, first things first, I know it's got to feel good for you to be in a regular colored jersey, not in red, running around. How are you feeling physically?
Physically, I feel great. It's just more about getting back in shape. My ankle feels great, everything feels great, my body feels great, so it's just more about getting back in shape and being able to run the tempo that we run. So
that was my main thing is being able to get back in that game shape. I mean, when you go from having that injury like you did in the spring game to already being here in fall camp, I mean, it was pretty obvious that you weren't gonna let fall camp get by you, and you've been working hard every day.
Right, and I dealt with injuries before, so I know how to come back from them. So it's just more about working on my own, off the field, doing just extra stuff. So I just gotta do a little extra work so I can get back ready for Friday.
It seemed like during the fall camp sometimes they were telling you pump the brakes, slow it down a little bit. Even though you're feeling good, but they're worried about you.
Right. They just ain't want me to tweak it. Any setbacks. we too close to have any setbacks, you know, and that's how I felt about myself. I knew when to, you know, control myself and when to just, you know, take it easy. So it's just about being smart.
Let's rewind back to a year ago. I mean, you showed up day one of fall camp, and just that process of how long it really took you to get the game plan in, get in AState shape and everything. By the end of the year, we could tell that you caught on. But have you thought about that a year ago when you arrived to where you are now? I mean, it's like night and day.
Man, it seems so long ago, but, you know, it was a great process. I'm just blessed, honestly. It's a great feeling, you know, coming from last year, August 2nd. I still remember the day I came in, you know, and just going through this fall camp, even with the injury, you know, I still feel good about it. And it's better that I, you know, been here for a year and I know the plays, you know, so I feel I'm more comfortable with it now. So.
Let's talk about your receiving core. You know, it's probably as deep as the defensive line is. You guys have a ton of talent. It doesn't matter whether you're 1 or 4.
Right.
It really doesn't matter with you guys. What that does for you as a receiver to open up your opportunities?
It's just knowing that the guy next to you has just as great as talent as you got. It's just a great feeling, you know, just know that you know that he's going to go out there and give the DB his best, and, you know, it's just going to be a great outcome, you know. So it's just, with the switching, we just going to cause a lot of defense, you know, give a lot of defense tough situations, you know, to stop us.
If you were to assess where this offense is now as to where it was a year ago, it seems to me like things are running so much more smoothly, crisply. It just seems like you guys are ready to roll. I mean, it really, I see a stark difference in the offense already than a year ago.
Well, with the standard we set last year, you know, going 8-0 conference, you know, we trying to, like Coach said, raise the bar. So everybody locked in, everybody focused with the newcomers, you know, from defense to coaches to receivers, everybody just locked in and just really want to take this team to another level. So that's really what the main focus is.
You know, it seems to me, too, when we talk about your receiver group and this offense, with so many playmakers, it seems like every one of you guys obviously want the football, but it seems like you guys all pull for each other, and there's really not too many egos about, hey, I caught this many balls, he caught this many balls. It seems like you guys as a crew are pretty tight and pull for each other.
Right. Like we really like family out there, you know. We want everybody to be successful. Like nobody in our group is selfish, and I think that's why our group is so great like it is, 'cause, you know, everybody want the next man to be great. So we push each other because it's just, you know, with the rotation, you know, we need everybody to be great. So I think that's what's great about us in our group.
All right, last question. How ready are you for Toledo?
If we was to play tomorrow, I'd be ready to play.
All right, man, 6 days away from Toledo. It seems like everything seems to be running so much more smooth and crisp than even a year ago.
Yeah, we got some interior guys, man. They came in and helped us, and you know, we got to switch up a couple things from the game plan from last year, so it's gonna be a good one this year.
For you guys on the D-line, I mean, I was just talking with Chris Murray about how deep the wide receivers are, but you guys are deep on that D-line. I mean, it doesn't matter what rotation is in, somebody's going to make plays. For you, as a guy who likes to get in that backfield and attack that quarterback, what that does for you having these guys next to you with so much talent?
Oh, it takes the pressure off of me, you know, because you know, there were some games where I had 3 blockers on me and stuff, so it takes a lot of pressure off of me knowing that, you know, the guys have came a long way from where we were last year as far as, you know, a unit pass rush stand, and we just trying to come together and get this W.
As a defense, you guys set the tone last season. I mean, it took the offense a little while to get rolling, but you guys set the tone as a defense. It seems like even in fall camp, you guys are still setting the tone, but start to see that offense starting to come along, and you guys are playing off each other very well.
Oh, yeah, man. The offense coming along, man. You know, we got Pretty Boy and the grandbaby back there, Chad, you know, I call him Pretty Boy. Chad, I call him Pretty Boy, and then I call him Justice. That's the grandbaby right there. But we got 2 pretty good quarterbacks, man, and we got Luke, the speedster, man, and we got Kendall. I feel like he's going to be a great position receiver for us, so it's looking pretty good right now.
Well, for you guys as a defense, you're very stingy. You guys had a ton of interceptions last year, which I know you don't get credit for those interceptions, but we know where those interceptions come from. It starts with that defensive line putting that pressure on. But setting maybe kind of the standard this year, you know, we've talked about raising the bar from a year ago. What is maybe some of the things that you guys have talked about as a defense wanting to be better than even a year ago?
Run defense and giving up explosive plays. You know, Coach Carter said, you know, we didn't do too good about giving up explosive plays, and also coming out on the first drive, letting the opposing team score. So that's things we working on. You know, we gotta, instead of just trying to get going, we gotta come out hot. You know, we can't, because, you know, some teams are too good for us to try to get going at the last minute. We got to come out hot already.
One of the things I noticed with your group this year, you know, Blake, Coach Carter brought in some new guys, young guys. You know, that can be kind of intimidating to them, but I see y'all over there encouraging those young guys and talking to them. I mean, it seems like they're taking it very well, and the, you know, everything constructively, you know, y'all have to say to them, but it just seems like they're not intimidated.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, that's what it's all about, man. You know, bringing the young guys along, man, creating that culture. You know, Coach Early want us to have, you know, run defense first, and then we're gonna let the sacks fall where they may.
How ready are you to play Toledo?
I'm very, 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 very ready to play Toledo.
Well, so last thing, going into this matchup with Toledo, maybe what do you take from a year ago from that game up in Toledo that maybe you use as motivation for this game?
We gave up 37 points. You know, we was on the field a lot, but that's still not an excuse to give up 37 points. You know, defense wins championship, offense sells tickets. So